the local broadcasters. And so this is an extraordinarily important issue, which is why we've been working on it, but not a time to panic.
I should note also that, thank you very much. I should note also that broadcasters have invested over $1 billion in consumer education and outreach. The commercials that you see on television, we produced several of those in both English and Spanish, and we're set to release at least 6 more of those before the end of the year. You see the snipes on the television set, the crawls, the news tickers, you see a 100-day countdown clock. So we're trying to do as much as we possibly can to make consumers aware that this thing is going to happen. You need to wake up. We're ringing the alarm as much as we possibly can. I stood up and I told you only a small fraction of what the National Association of Broadcasters is doing. But there's so much more also. And you should definitely feel free to go to our website, dtvanswers.com, to learn more about what the broadcasters are doing. But I thought that it was important to know what we're doing in terms of the television spots that you see in relation to what Mark just mentioned.
We have had a trial run on this. I think the best experience to date is the Wilmington, North Carolina early transition. So on September 8th, actually a whole market transitioned early. All the TV stations went digital, and we learned a lot from that. We really put a lot of procedures in place post-September 8th that would help us with the February transition. Let me just talk about a couple of quick things. One, we learned that there were, as everyone's been saying on this panel, a certain segment of our population that really needed hands-on, specialized attention. These were folks, for example, in nursing homes. We realized they weren't eligible for our program, so we actually changed our rules to make sure they were eligible. We realized people that wanted to use a post office box in rural areas weren't eligible, so we included them into our mix. We realized there were people that were indigent and could not afford the copay, and so we worked with industry to try to get some converter boxes down there for donation programs. Then on September 8th, there were a lot of people that called into the FCC hotline. And the good news there is that about 80% of those calls were handled and were addressed very quickly. As Chris was saying earlier, these were folks that didn't know you had to rescan the converter box. So the NAB and others now are doing a lot of ads that really remind consumers, really the 3 or 4 things that consumers really didn't do right in Wilmington, or now we're just blasting these out between now and February so consumers really understand what they need to do. Folks didn't put the batteries in the remote, as Chris said. But again, there were a lot of calls about the first week after September 8th. They dwindled off the second week, and after that, basically things were pretty much back to normal. So we do expect a spike of activity around February. I'm very pleased to see the FCC has beefed up their call center. We've got more agents ready to answer questions. We've requested the broadcasters have local and statewide call centers so they can address local reception issues, which again, if you have an issue with your local TV station, it's got to be a local station that can give you the best information to address that. It's not going to be a person sitting at a national call center who can help you with that. And so tons of lessons we learned. We put a lot of processes in place to fix those problems. And so I think Wilmington to me is the best trial, the best bellwether, and we've done all we can to hopefully mitigate a lot of those problems come February.
I just wanted to say with respect to the post-transition period, and I think that a lot of the education, information, and awareness that everyone here is doing is going to bring us to the point that at the post-transition is going to ensure that we have a plan in place anything, and that working even with disaster preparedness organizations, which HITN is looking into, is another way to ensure that once February 17th comes, even if there are those that have not been able to transition, that there is a plan in place to continue to work effectively so that everyone does transition.
Good. Yes, you have a question.
Hi, question for the NTIA. Are you going to have enough coupons for all the demand? We're talking about surge. We're having a rundown here of the unprecedented outreach efforts and education. If those education efforts are as successful as they may appear to be, we've talked about a surge in demand. Wilmington